accumulated that we are capable of giving it back, handing it off to somebody, somewhere. And we need to get more engaged with the youth of our community as we talk about Savior's Day and the need to save ourselves. Do you know what would happen with history of many of the people that died in this room that is of age, that have the history locked in their head and nobody ever get to know about it? The inspiration that made you get up and go out there and challenge a world that was against everything that you presented. How can you inspire a young man or a young woman today to take on that same kind of presence and address the society with the kind of skills that we had to address the society with in order to make a difference? I was listening to the lady that was speaking before I came up, and I was quite impressed with the list that she gave of the activities of people that went forward under tremendous odds and were successful. What is our story? Who do we point to and say, this is what they achieved in their lifetime that has been an inspiration to me and others? We have to have that same kind of look at history in terms of where we belong. Because there was a saying one time, if I don't get it right, some of y'all know it. They asked what happened to a people, and the response was they lost their history and they died. They lost sight of their history and they died. That's the same thing that happened to us. If we don't build on our history and our greatness, then we're going to die just like everybody else. What I mean by die, not physically die, but the legacy of the work that we do, the opportunity to influence people and influence the world, the work that we put in to try to make that happen will have no meaning after we die. 10, 20, 15 years from now, if we don't do anything to serve and to preserve our legacy, we will wind up leaving nothing to our children, nothing to our society, and nothing to the world. They would look at us as if we was a blimp on the radar. Well, they came along and they went away. But we didn't come along and went away. We've changed the nature of urban America. But do we claim that? Are we able to show that to somebody? Many of the manners, many of the behaviors, I know there's a lot of negative out there, but we've done more to contain what would have been the wild, wild west if the Muslims hadn't been walking that world, getting that education in our community to help more of the people escape than become victims of the society in which they lived in. So that is a great legacy that we should look at and we should try to honor and we should try to raise up as an example of our work. This is Savior's Day. We're not the Savior, but we can show how the Savior worked in this community. We can show what it do to save people and to bring the lives around so that it serves the purpose for which Allah had created them. You know, we shouldn't be wasting our life at this point. The human being, as human beings, Allah has given us something great. And He instructs us not to forget our share of the material world. This is very important. You know, sometimes we get to the point where we can't make no money. We give it a, well, I couldn't make no money, so it's all right. It ain't never all right. And I'm not talking about money, but you've got to have wealth. You've got to have wealth of spirit. You've got to have wealth of the material world. All of this go into building and establishing what it is that you want. How many times have we rode downtown and seen them big cranes up there building them buildings? And next thing you know, they're loading them up with people. Do you look at the gentrification that they're doing in our neighborhoods now? They're moving our people out. They let the houses run down to slums. They build a tire ring around the outside the city, build projects out there, sit them out there, and then come the bulldozers in the same neighborhoods that they said was crime-ridden and can't nobody live there, tear the houses down and make a magnificent site in the same place where we used to live and call it dust and dirt, and I want to get out of there. You see what I'm saying? That's our territory. I say to myself oftentimes when I talk to people, what are you looking at? What do you see? That's great opportunity. I share with you that shopping center and that housing complex that I put in the urban area. They told me when I went to the city, I think I need about $5 million or something like that from them. And they said to me, we're not going to give you the money, because to give you money to go in that area is like pouring water down a rat hole. Now, can you imagine sitting at the city commission meeting and have to listen to that? It pissed me off so bad, I said, well, I'll go back and I'll get that done. And I'll tell you, within 2 years, it took me about 2.5 years, we had enough money to independently build the housing complex, 145 units, 2 and 3 bedroom units. And in addition to that, within the next 3 to 5 years, we built a shopping center, one of the only shopping centers built in an urban area like that by the indigenous people that live there. Yeah. So these are the things that's possible for us. We can do those kind of things. We can get up in our community and we can take responsibility and we can do those kind of things. This is Savior's Day. We want to save ourselves and we want to save the rest of the population if we can. When I look at the great opportunities that we have, We can't achieve in this world if we don't have a sensitivity and a commitment to business growth in our community. You know, it is the business that's established the stability in the community. A lot of times they pay the taxes. You know, they got zones that you can establish where you can take all the taxes out of an area and you can contribute it to products that's in your area. Tax increment financing and things of this nature. So we got zones where you can build houses and things like that in the neighborhoods where you live at. We should be thinking about how can we do that? How can we go into our neighborhoods and take control of our neighborhoods? We have a opportunity, I think, as a community of people to take responsibility in our own communities and build our communities. We can no longer just wait for other people to come in and do what we should be doing ourselves. I know I got short time. I'm jumping over some things I don't want to take the program too long. I wished I had the time to come back and talk about this all the time. You know, I travel around the country doing work, consulting work like this. That's how I met Imam Deen Mohammed. I met him before then. I came over to his office when he first came in. He used to like Cool in the Gang. I think that's what the name of it was. And he had the picture up on the wall. And I walked in his office. What you doing with Cool in the Gang up on your wall? But we formed a friendship there like that. But we need to be taking the opportunity to build our own community. Now, lastly, let me say this here. We got a crowd of people here tonight. We need to learn to do business with each other. You know, we always want to go and prove to white people that we got some business because we can sell and do business among white people. This ain't a black and white conversation here. This is a like-minded group. I want to put it like that. This just happen to be most of us in here African American. If it was white people in here, I'd be saying the same thing. But we should be in a position where we are able to build our economic base for ourselves. We have to begin to look at how do we recycle our money in our communities. How do we make our wealth turn over in our community? You know, they talk about this 4 times, 7 times, the money turn over. Money not turning over in our community. Y'all done heard them stories for years, right? Where is the responsible minds that's going to take responsibility to do that? Businesses in a community create the kind of respect and the receptivity in the minds of other people when you have a sound, sturdy business life in your community. You got to have that. You're not taken serious if you don't have no business community in your life. They think it's almost like a welfare society. You know, you give them a few houses and throw some subsidy down there, they'll be all right. And then as soon as they want to come in, they wipe out all the houses and everything else, and they build something on the same land that they say you didn't have enough equity in it to do anything. We are the muscles of the community, the businesses, and we need to support our businesses. You know, we talk about this, and I'm closing on this note. I'm rambling fast to get through all this. I wish that I'm going to come back one day, and we're going to deal with this here. Yeah, we're going to deal with this here. Because I know there's some business people out there got that kind of acumen, and we're ready to deal with this here. We need to start turning this money over in our community. We need to start doing business with each other. We want to have affairs like this. Why is not the businessmen stepping up in here with $2,000, $3,000, $4,000, $5,000, supporting and underwriting a program like this? Why they don't do that? We got businessmen in our community that could do that. So we need to take advantage and harness the power of our business community to come and be supportive of the things that we want to see grow in our community. That's why I said earlier, businesses are important to a community. They bring in tax credits, they bring in wealth, they bring in support for the things that the community want to do, and we should be catering to the business. We have La ilaha illallah. I'm not saying we have it and quit it, but we have the foundation in religion. Now we need to get foundation in economics and in business. You know, we are a human being that was created with a diverse collection of talents. We can do some of everything. We don't need to get focused and locked in on one particular thing and don't look at the whole world. We can be as successful in business as anybody else. Look at our brothers that's going over there to China shipping things back. Who would ever think somebody raised up in the ghettos of America with very little opportunities suddenly bringing thousands and thousands and thousands of tons of stuff into this country because they went over there and worked the system and they bring it back? Muslim brothers are doing that. You see what I'm saying? Why can't we take that economic power, harness it, and take it back into our communities and begin to open up outlets where these brothers are bringing in this massive supplies and we're helping to distribute it? You know what stops that? Jealousy and envy. I'm not going to sell your stuff. What am I going to get out of it? And you can't even get a paddle boat to go across the water, but you want 50% of the profit once they come back and establish it. You see what I mean? No, and at the same time, turn around and get in one of these tier marketing sales things. We'll give you 10 cents off a dollar if you sell our product, and there we go running after that, recruiting all our brothers and sisters and telling them you can become a millionaire, and the very person that's recruiting you ain't got a dime. You see what I'm saying? They're hoping you buy something so they can get paid off of your money. It's time out for that. We grown men. We grown people. It's time for us to be doing grown things. We should be building communities, building cities, building highways, building roads, not for the sake of the bigger society, but for the sake of the quality of life we want in our communities. That's what we do it for. We want our business communities to grow so they can turn around and give back for the projects that we want to have happen in our community. That is the relationship. You know, businesses are not out ripping people off. You bring customers to a business, they're willing to give you 10 or 15% of what they're making if you can keep on bringing that traffic through the door. Why don't we have that kind of relationship with our own businessmen as well as the other businessmen that want to come in and do business for us? Like I was telling you about this project, we played hardball. And I'm going to close on this one right here because this ain't small potatoes what I'm talking about. There was a subsidy in the United States of America for housing. It was the last subsidy for multifamily housing. Anybody know anything about real estate? I don't want to complicate this thing, but there was a time when you could get Section 8 on a project. Now, when Section 8 comes, you get it as a family or an individual. You can take your Section 8 and get up and walk and go use it anywhere that somebody accepts Section 8. Before that came, you could go to the government and say, I'm going to build a house, project, 500 houses or whatever, and I want the whole project to be covered with Section 8. So that means that the house has the Section 8 and not the person. So the person can't never walk away with the Section 8. The Section 8 always stay on the house. So when you get ready to rent your house, you can always depress the rent so that people can afford it. And that's how those developers kept those houses filled at 100% until their shelf life had wore out, their useful life had wore out. And you know what they do then. They abandon them, they start falling down and all that. They have a 10 or 15-year window on those tax credits like that. And so as a result of that, they were building projects all over the place, suburbs that boom with that kind of stuff. And so now Section 8 goes with the tenant. So when the tenant moves, the Section 8 goes with the tenant. These are the things that we need to know about how to go about doing economic development. I'm going to close on this. I haven't said this 50 times, but I'm going to close on it. Y'all see I get excited about this here. Look, this ain't small meat and potatoes I'm talking about. You can walk in and do a project and you can walk out with $5 million. And I'm not talking about cheating. I'm talking about using the financial tools that's out there. Oh, the sister there's a banker. She know they be in there using all them tax credits and everything. Oh yeah. She know how that go. So you can use those tax credits to offset your cost of doing things in your community. That's what I'm telling you. And a lot of times when you step through the door and you're talking about, I don't have a down payment. The tax credits makes your down payment. You don't need a down payment. You know, we always say, how them white boys go in there and get all that credit and we can't get none? Because the government probably gave them 10 or 15% equity, and so they done met their entry level money requirement on tax credits. That's how they do that. Now that's a very simple explanation on how they do it, but it's about that simple when they get through doing it. So what I want to say to you tonight is let us not be a people who turn our back on our business community. Let us not get so caught up praying and calling on Allah and doing the religious ritual stuff when the real need, the evolution from when the Savior came the first time to put us on the path to Islam so that we can come and know ourselves. Now that we know ourselves, what are we going to do with ourselves? So we got to get busy and do something with the knowledge that Allah has blessed us to come into. And I want to tell you, it ain't just bowing down saying your prayers all the time. Allah has made us the vice generous of the world. And so we should take that responsibility serious and get up and go to work. Assalamu alaikum. Allahu Akbar. Allahu Akbar.
We want to thank Imam Noah Saifullah for those excellent words. Someone